Hey Nick,
Hey, Wyatt.
how does a pit? You know what? No, just play the music.
Yo, buddy.
We don't
Have
have
it
it
yet.
yet. All right, hey, this is we don't have it yet. I'm Wyatt. That's Nick. We're both doing shitty, right? Nick, how you doing?
I thought I was okay, man, but I guess I'm doing shitty. That's you caught me a little surprised with you're normally such an upbeat Wyatt kind of guy, and today you're sad.
Hey, so did you hear about Sony getting rid of all physical media starting in 2028?
Oh yeah, there is that.
Eat a dick!
Yeah. So let's talk about that because I've got some feelings on the whole situation.
So we're what 2-3 days removed. Happy Fourth, everybody! But I guess we're jumping right into Sony's debacle here on We Don't Have It Yet. What are we? 2 days, 3 days away from this news coming out
Yeah,
that
two or
they are
three.
giving up on physical media for seemingly ever, unless they get shamed into reversing course. But it doesn't sound like that's going to happen.
So, do you think that Sony soft tested GTA 6 with this, saying they weren't going to be releasing anything physical, and then I mean, there was obviously some pushback on it, but the pre orders have been going apparently absolutely bonkers, unsurprisingly to anyone. And then I guess a couple days after, actually, yeah, it was probably a couple days after we recorded last week when we were talking about the only digital releases for GTA 6, Sony decided to go, you know what? 2028, no more physical, digital. Let's kill retail.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that they had any. Well, maybe they did have a hand in Rockstar making that announcement saying we'll get your back. I don't know, who knows? But that's not like their publisher, their studio, or anything like that. But I think it's a good excuse to piggyback.
I don't know. I mean, if you look at everything that's there's been a bunch of stuff that's come out recently about how Sony is really heavily pushing GTA 6. If you sign it, I mean, I don't know the last time you've used your PS5 because I think you said you barely ever turn it on.
I don't.
Yeah, but Sony has pretty much gone to the nines. You load up your PS5 and you've got like a GTA 6 font. You can't go to the store without seeing, pre-order GTA 6. There's actually, I believe, an article on Polygon saying that Sony is going even further to promote this GTA 6 release than they have to promote
Push
their
their own
first-party
releases.
games.
Yeah.
So I mean, I know that Sony doesn't, have really any stake in Rockstar or Take-Two, obviously, but they definitely, there's been, GTA 6 is going to play best on PS5, and they're really trying to push, Sony being the place to play GTA 6. So I don't think, obviously I was being a little facetious saying that, Sony was floating Take-Two out there to be like, hey, why don't you go ahead and say it? But it is a little weird that as soon as we get that announcement that Sony comes out and says, we're killing physical. Screw it. And this is
I will get revenge on you.
This is a couple days after they announced that they're going to be removing 550 digital movies off of the PlayStation Store that even if you have bought, you lose the license to.
You don't own them.
Yeah, and
you never
if you
did.
can't own
Just
something, you can't steal something.
And you can't do shit about it, especially right now. It's just, yeah, I mean, Sony's gone out of their way this entire generation to make every anti-consumer move possible, and any goodwill that they fucking fell backwards into in the PS4 generation by just having to scoop up and, let Xbox fail first. God knows
that's
what
the reason why you got the goodwill. because because Microsoft shot themselves. That's the only reason why Sony got goodwill.
I'm wondering if they fell backwards into that, and all of that announcement, getting on stage and just going $2.99 or $3.99 or whatever the number was, and here's how you share games on PS4. Did all of that come together in a back room of E3 somewhere between 12 different dudes or something? And then it's like, all right, we're just going to go with this now just because we own them and they've given us such an opportunity. Maybe the PS was ready to go DRM on everything. I don't know.
Yeah. I honestly wouldn't be surprised because that's exactly what they're doing now.
So yeah, just from that moment, they got all this goodwill for an entire generation, and they got to run with it for the whole generation. And PS5, from my view, has sucked honestly, and they've only made it suckier as the years have gone by, and now it's going to be more expensive and shittier. And you know what really sucks for me? As I said, I haven't turned it on in probably almost a year, and I haven't had PS Plus in that long. And something came out the other day. It's like, mod your PS5. I was like, well, shit, I should at this point. Let's have some fun with this damn thing. And I remembered that my son had played Astrobot recently because he wanted to check out a free
No.
update, and it updated the firmware
Yep.
beyond the point of return. So yeah, sadly, it just sits there as another dust brick for now. But I don't know what to say about it, man. It sucks. Everything sucks. Fucking, being a consumer sucks right now. And you have no rights, and you have to eat shit and say it tastes good, and everything's going to be more expensive. And yeah.
Well, it's basically history repeating itself here because somehow, despite being the absolute villains this generation by announcing, the game key cards, Nintendo has now basically fallen backwards into being like, you know what? Game key
Not
cards
so
actually
bad
are a
now,
good
are we,
compromise,
assholes?
aren't they? So for anyone that doesn't know, the game key cards are essentially just a download token, but you have a physical cartridge. You put that into your Nintendo Switch 2, and it will download the game from the Nintendo eShop, which you then still have to have your cartridge in the system to be able to play the game. But if you want to let a friend borrow it, if you want to resell it, it's still a physical item that you can then do.
Yeah, and speaking to that, and it's another piece of news that followed the PS announcement this week,
Yep.
is that Xbox stepped in and said, well, we've been developing this, disc to digital transfer process. And I don't know if you've looked into this.
Yep.
Part of me wants to say, hey, that's kind of sensible. But the other, cynical part of me says, well, this is just their way of doing the same thing that PS is doing and just trying to make it, sell it to you a little better.
Well, no, I think that's exactly what it is. I think Microsoft at least had the foresight to be like, you know what? People are going to be pissed no matter what. Even if I think the number was like 80% of people buy games digitally, which seems
85. I think it's 85.
That sounds so ridiculous to me. I mean, I understand that, we're in the minority now, but
yeah,
that just seems like such a high number. So, Microsoft still knows that you've got, 15 to 20% of your market that relies on physical stuff. So it's one thing Microsoft has been good about, I think, with each iteration of their consoles is their backwards compatibility.
Dude, I can still pull off a Xbox Gen 1 game off the shelf, stick it in my Series X, and it just plays. It not only just plays, it usually looks a hell of a lot better than it did,
Yeah, so that's one thing that, despite all of, the crappy, Microsoft closing down a shit ton of studios, I think by the time this releases, July 6th, I believe it was announced that, well, I guess floated that Microsoft is going to be shutting down some of their studios. Like they're not a good company either. But
no.
When it comes to this, like I do like the idea of Xbox giving you the ability to do a disc to digital, which to explain that very simply, you own an Xbox One game. You put it into your Xbox Series X, because I imagine this will probably only be current gen. You can then convert that physical disc into a digital entitlement, which then means that you no longer have to put your disc into the system.
But what happens to that disc and the license that's associated with it?
The license still travels with the disc. So, I mean, if you tried to let me borrow the disc and then I put it in, it would revoke your license and then install that license onto my Xbox. So it's still really the only, really the only idea is that you don't have to always have a disc in the system, which I guess will then put less wear and tear on the drives. But I think the ultimate goal behind it is that once Project Helix, which is going to be the new Xbox console at some point, comes out, it'll probably just be like the PS6. They're not going to have physical games. So at least that way, which is good in the sense that even if they're going to go this incredibly crappy route, that all your physical games you own, you can still have access to on your digital system.
It's kind of hard for me to be mad about that, to be honest with you, man, because I mean, it's an olive branch.
Well, that's what I'm
They-
saying. Like,
They've
it's
been
the
pretty
best
good
of the
about
worst.
extending those. I mean, as much as it may pain us old men, like there's a legitimate argument to be made against next generation having still a form of physical media. I mean, PCs don't sell with optical drives anymore, and you could buy like a USB one for your laptop. That's how most people might have one, but it's tough. And I just think if by them offering that, and by the way, maybe that also includes like the stream your own game functionality with some of the titles too. So
yes,
you could take
anything that you have a digital copy of with your physical, you can then
Yeah.
actually stream the game instead of
And-
Yeah.
it doesn't then coaster the disc. It's a good meeting place versus fuck you. This is the way it is now. We're strong arming you and breaking your legs to sell you crutches, which is what doing business with Sony these days feels like. So
It's a good compromise. I'm
Yeah.
just against the digital revolution itself. And my biggest issue with it, and we'll see if Sony backtracks, but I think it was 6 or 7 years ago. I don't know if you've noticed. I mean, I don't really go into retail stores all that often. Excuse me, but Sony doesn't sell digital codes at retailers. They only sell like PlayStation Store gift cards. So that now means
yeah.
that unless Sony decides to go back on that, which they may, because they may, but they may not, because why would they?
Why do they want to
the
be
only
in
place
brick
you're
and
gonna be
mortar
able to buy it-
retail? That's
Yeah.
that's just another middleman that they have
Right.
to cut in.
So
you know?
you're going to only be able to buy digital games only from the Sony PlayStation Store, which means there is no competition, which means there is no reason to give a deal on anything. The thing with physical discs is, and this is because this is, pro-consumer. It's absolutely anti-consumer the way that Sony looks like they're going to be doing this. When you have physical discs, you have things like that, retailers or whatever, you can give a deal. I could buy GTA 5 for $15 from, Target, or, God forbid I step foot into a GameStop and they have, a sale there and you could get it for cheaper. But
Yeah, but there's no games in either one of those right now.
yeah, well, I know, but digitally, there's no incentive to have a sale aside from, I guess trying to draw some more people in. But
I mean, Valve makes it work.
Valve does, but I feel like the PC ecosystem is different because you can buy stuff through Steam, you could buy stuff through Epic, you could buy stuff through Green Man Gaming. Like there's ways that you can get DRM free stuff. Like there's still more of a marketplace when it comes to PC games than there is with a closed ecosystem.
Yeah,
like
there's competition.
Right.
Absolutely.
And that's the thing. No competition, no reason to give sales.
Well, you can buy PS codes on third-party sites, can't you?
Gray market. And
Okay,
there's
fair
very,
enough.
very few now because they don't exist. Because literally the only
Phasing
place
it
to
out.
get digital games
Yeah.
are through the PlayStation Store. So the only way you're going to be able to find those third-party codes on those sites is it has to be a pack-in game with a system, because that comes with a code.
Oh, and a piece
Or
of
it has
paper
to-
with a code
right.
that you could then sell. Yeah.
Right. That's really the only way that you're going to any of those games that you see on there. It's going to be something that was packed in, because there's no other way to get a code. Once you buy something on the PlayStation Store, you're just downloading it. It's not giving you a code to then bring somewhere to sell or do XYZ with.
Yeah, I wonder how much like they might lean on the statistic of say 85% of all game purchases are digital now. Well, yeah, because that includes the entire PC market, and buying a game on disc for a PC hasn't existed in a decade,
20 years,
more or less. I mean, I know there have been releases, but it's maybe it's leaning on that as an excuse to do it over here on console.
I think that's really what it is.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. And the only people that this is going to benefit is Sony.
Mhm.
Because they don't have to manufacture discs. They don't have to, put drives into systems. So they're going to save money, but you're not. And again, this goes to, I guess, good guy Nintendo, which is kind of sometimes an oxymoron.
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah. So like I talked about, I believe last week, Nintendo is starting with their first party releases. They're offering the digital games for $10 less than the physical games.
Yeah.
So like if there was a correlation with that, if Sony was like, okay, we're going all digital, but our games are going to be cheaper than they were when they were physical, but that's not how capitalism works.
Yeah, we
They
said that
know
last
that.
week. That blows
Yeah,
my mind. The
exactly.
balls on them. The
Yeah.
balls on them to do that is just so nuts.
Yeah. So I don't know. I've just been kind of pissed about this since they announced it. And again, like I know that we are old men shaking our fist at clouds here because, as you said, about 85% of the market is digital, but and this doesn't even go into anything of what this does for game preservation.
What it
Like this
does,
absolutely
I mean,
bones.
that's a huge conversation on its own. But I mean, I was even thinking more simplistic. Like, what does it do for Blu-ray sales? How many
Yeah.
people out there are using either an Xbox or a PS to play, especially 4K Blu-rays now? I sure as hell don't own a dedicated 4K Blu-ray player.
Neither do I.
Yep, but I own a shitload of 4K Blu-rays.
Yep, I've
I
got my
wonder-
PS5 and my Series X.
Yeah, I mean, when you think back to PS2, that was a major stepping stone for most people to get into the DVD market.
Well, yeah, it was what, $200 for a PS2, or it was like
Yeah, it was
$200
unheard of at the
for a
time.
DVD player.
Yeah, and while I know that rate of adoption is never going to happen again, I wonder how many people you're just going to lose because that was kind of their way that they used that. Yeah, I mean it's exactly what you're saying. Everything's getting vertically integrated and sucked up one vacuum hose, and sucks to be you guys if you're just those lowly consumers.
I don't know. I could really just talk about this forever because it's so endlessly frustrating because
I got a new PS5 in the mail yesterday.
I knew.
don't know if you
Oh
saw
yeah,
that.
you did. You
Yeah.
did get that. Yeah, you know what? Screw it. Like I said, I could talk about this forever. Let's talk about something a little bit more fun.
Well, that one's fun, I think.
Well, that's what I'm saying. This is a little
Yeah.
more fun. I don't want to talk about Sony
Sony
boning
sucking.
us anymore.
Yes.
I will probably talk about it again at some point. But yeah, you and Joe, I think, are starting on a project here together, separately but together.
Well, it goes back to what we were discussing, the Steam Machine cost and how it's higher than anticipated and everything. And now that people still want one, they often can't buy one. And Aftermath published an article, and I know ETA Prime on YouTube had done a video on it, that you could pick up these AMD BC250 boards. They're enterprise boards that sat in server racks for about, they were $100, now they're like $200. And essentially the entire thing is it's a PS5. It's just a board, but it's got the essential internals the same as a PS5, and you can modify it slightly to add a fan because it doesn't have active cooling. It's meant to sit in a giant wind tunnel in a rack with 50 other of these things. You just attach a fan, a power supply, do a 3D printed case, and I will have a PS5 powered leveled Steam machine, hopefully, or we will.
And when do you
There's
think you're gonna have
BIOS
that done?
modifications to be done and stuff. This is the new project for the summer.
The
So I'm
summer
excited
project.
about it. Yeah, I don't think it's going to go quickly, and I may stumble along the way, but it should be fun.
Yeah, I was pretty excited to see you guys do that. I wish I had a little bit of money to blow because I was watching. You always get the FOMO, and I'm like, oh man, that'd be fun. I could do that, but then.
It's right in with my kind of middle finger ethos, dude. I mean, that's I get off on projects like this, and the project is usually more than the end result. Like, it's very likely it could sit after I get it done, just because.
No, you doing that? No way.
My gaming cup runneth over. But it's like, well, screw your newly expensive Steam machine. I don't need it. I can buy this old piece of hardware and repurpose it for $200 instead of $1,400 and get roughly the same performance. I get off on that shit, man. I do. That's what gets my engine revving. So yeah, that'll be me for the next couple of weeks. I'm sure I'll write an article about the whole process and squeeze it for more.
Yeah, we do need to get a monthly Patreon article up there for our Patreon subscribers, which
You're up, homie.
Yeah, I know. I'm probably going to end up writing something here in the next week, hopefully, about the trip that I took up north with G Van Choi up to Pittsburgh and back. Because
you share that with your Vanagon people, and we'll bring in a whole new listener segment.
Yeah, hopefully. So you're screwing around, is with all tech and stuff, which I'm definitely lesser than you when it comes to doing those projects, but my screwing with stuff is my
nonsense.
And
You put a whole emulator inside an NES cartridge.
yeah, that was 6 years ago, though. That was like the last fun project I did.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was neat, but I'm just saying, like, you do a lot of cool, tech projects, whether it be, home automation, creating your own not creating your own LLM, but setting up your own server based in your own house LLM. Like, you do a lot more tech project stuff than I really have the time for. But I don't know.
It's about the journey, man. And
no, I know.
I'm a sick ADHD addict. It's once I get it done, it's like, all right, that box checked. Now I'd like something else to make my brain synapses fire, please. Put something in front of me. Need a new task.
Getting myself to do that is that's the hard part, especially when I sit in front of a computer all day having to do, tech stuff. It's hard to.
Well, that's
hard to continue doing.
That's work tech stuff. That's different.
Yeah, I know. My brain doesn't work like yours. I can't. It's same with, when it comes to even playing video games at this point. When I'm sitting in front of a computer screen all day, like PC gaming's hard for me now. Even I've separated my work desk and my gaming PC desk, but it's still sitting at a desk, and it's like this isn't fun. Even if I'm playing a fun game, like. We've played RV There Yet. We played Marathon and stuff, and it's fun, but it's still hard to be like, man, I'm sitting at my computer, and this just feels like
we were talking about this last week about, kind of like the hurdles that exist in your brain of just like stepping over that one thing to then do it, and how that is just kind of impassable sometimes. And it's funny you mentioned this because I brought my son's Quest 3 downstairs because I was like, I want to mess around with virtual pinball some more, so I'm going to do that. And it's been sitting on my counter for damn near a month. Have not picked it up or turned it on one single time. And every time it's like, because I walk by it, I'm like, I could. I don't really feel like strapping all that shit on right now. And that's it. That's that weird little mental hurdle. That tiny little bit is me to just go, fuck it. Yeah, next time.
Yeah, that's the friction. Any type of friction.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know, funny, strange brain stuff, but it exists. So, I mean, when you look at it zoomed out kind of thing, it's like maybe that's why VR cannot take off, because people associate it with having to strap shit on kind of thing. Yeah.
It's that friction. It's a lot of people don't like not having bearings on their surroundings, because I mean, once you are inside that, you are inside it. Like,
oh yeah, that's definitely like a personal preference for sure. Yeah.
So I mean, at least sitting down to play a video game, you can still look around your room. You can kind of still be there. But yeah, because I played. I had the first Oculus Rift, not the first, but I had an Oculus Rift and had that set up in Room Scale VR, which was a lot of fun. But same thing, it was like, I don't know, man. Like, it's having all your senses basically taken.
Building the whole racing sim setup, and then going online and looking how many other dudes have had the same plan and had them sit there, and now they're selling their whole sweet rig that they spent all this time putting together. We are simple creatures, us men.
So both of us bought race. I mean, I bought a whole racing setup. I don't know what you ended up getting, but I mean, I've got the wheel, I've got the 3 pedals, I've got the shifter.
I don't have a shifter.
I've just never set mine up.
Oh no! I've been messing around with mine on Forza 6. I got one of those cheapo folding stands. Yeah, it does well enough in front of the couch that it's enjoyable. It's funny how badly I suck driving with a wheel compared to a controller.
It's wild. Even though you've driven a car for 20, 30 something years, it's like, what the hell? Why do I not know how to drive? It's just such a different experience.
Yep. Well, I know you know how to. I watched you play that Ferrari F255 or 355 simulator, whatever.
Yeah, that was fun.
And set the records on that in Daytona at Really Rad Weekend.
Yeah, I really liked that, because that so that machine itself, I believe it was made by Sega.
It was.
It was basically set up to be a Ferrari. It has your 3 pedals, your brake, your gas, your clutch. It's got the shifter, and I believe Derry is the guy who brings the game over there. He was giving me a couple of years ago give me the whole history behind it. That one, the higher ups at Sega wanted something like that, and it was a really interesting story.
It was
that
a
he told me
passion
about the whole
project
thing.
because it cost an absolute
Oh
fortune
yeah,
to produce. It had 3 CRT monitors in it, for God's sakes.
yep, yeah. It's like it's the racing setups that you see people have now, but this was what, mid '90s that this was
Yeah.
put out. Like,
Yeah.
and it was a lot of fun. That the steering wheels had force feedback on it. Like the sound was incredible on that thing, but it was about as close as you could get to driving an actual car, especially in the mid '90s.
You said something interesting. The words mid '90s. Should we tell everybody what our theme's going to be this week?
It is Christmas in July.
This week, this month. It is, the month of July is upon us. It is July 4th today. I have to go tend back to some meat. But the people voted and chosen that all of the month of July we will be assigning each other media from the year 1996. We are going back 30 years playing games, TV, movies, whatever we decide to pull out for the other. And going back to 96, and what a year it was, Wyatt.
It was a great year. So for anyone that doesn't know, every month, starting this month, July, we are putting out a Patreon poll for anyone that subscribes to our Patreon, patreon.com/we don't have it yet.
You can vote as a free user.
Yep. If free or paid users, you guys can decide what topic we will be doing. Yeah. And thankfully, this was the one I was hoping would be picked. So by an 80-20 margin, 30-year.
Yeah, you just had to throw Christmas in July in there just to make me.
I was hoping someone,
just make me scared.
I was hoping, man. But yeah. So I guess I could probably get into what we're talking about today, since I just wanted to get that off my chest. But you did Nick Watches, I believe, probably on Friday. I think you actually got out to play some pinball.
I did.
Kind of wild.
Yeah.
And then we can talk about a little bit of Backlog Buster Brothers. Speaking of friction and, causing that to make you go, you know what, this isn't worth it. And we can see what our first assignments are going to be for this month of July.
Fair.
But did you say you had to tend to some meat right now, or?
Oh no! When we're done,
okay,
sir.
I just want to make sure. I know you're making some pretty awesome stuff.
On, but we got many miles left to go.
All right, good, because the meat is much more important than the podcast. So you just need to run away.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah.
I will just monologue for a good 20 minutes until you come back. But did you? I think we talked about this last week, and you said you didn't want to talk about it at the end of last week.
Well,
did you want to discuss watching MI3, which I believe you watched?
Oh, yeah. So in continuation of Picnic Boy movie nights, we had the perfect picnic last night, pretty much, which Costco pepperoni pizza and a couple dozen wings from their freezer section, or fridge section, and the pre-prepared food section.
Yep.
Yeah, so last week we actually watched 3, and then last night watched Ghost Protocol.
Oh, I didn't know. I thought you were going to stop before Ghost Protocol.
No, so I'm 3 and 4 now under our belts the last couple weeks. So we're moving at a 1 MI per week clip here. And dude, 3 was good as shit. I loved it.
Much better than 2. It was. Yeah.
2 has to be the low point. It has to be. Like the series kind of all got muddled together in my head just because it's been so many years. 2 was not good. 3 brought in Philip Seymour Hoffman as the villain, which, he's a joy to behold in anything, but as a bad guy, I love him. And it seemed pretty clear from the outset that they were going out of their way to shed anything that had kind of come in the second movie. And it just opens up in a very dark tone, with you just seeing Ethan tied up and then just hearing Philip Seymour Hoffman say, "I've planted an explosive in your head." And we're off to the races from there. So, yeah, that one was super good. And Simon Pegg comes into the fold. I really enjoy his character as Benji, who kind of starts as... It looked like they were going to replace Ving Rhames' Luther with Benji, and then kind of dialed back that decision because everybody loves Ving Rhames. So then once we get to 4, we open up and Simon Pegg's Benji is now a field operative, and Ving Rhames is still, thank God, he's still our computer dude. But we now have like a computer dude field operator guy that helps with, narrative structure.
And he also defeated a bunch of zombies.
And he also, he was in the
Cornetto
trilogy. Come on, man, yeah. But yeah, so 4 Ghost Protocol, I will say, is not as good of a movie as 3, in so much as the villain isn't anywhere near as intriguing, and the MacGuffins are just kind of like, fine. We're getting set piece to set piece. I'm happy. But like the gadget / set piece stuff is better in 4. Am I making sense?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah. Like in 4, in Ghost Protocol, we get the really cool scene where they're sneaking into a building and they pull up like this projector screen where they're slowly walking down a hallway, but the screen makes it look like the hallway's empty.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just all forced perspective with this guard. That scene was a hell of a lot of fun. You got Tom Cruise climbing up the side of the Burj Khalifa, of course, with sticky gloves. All sorts of fun stuff like that. A lot of great set pieces and locales in that one, but they're in every one. Just what a good series. And I got a little worried. My son even pointed it out because I've made a point of noting it. At this point, he's like, we're an hour into this thing. Where's Luther? Where's Luther? I'm like, holy shit, you're right. Where is Ving Rhames? But he's in like the last 20 minutes, seated the entire time, I might add. Because they're just sitting down drinking beers. Not because he's sitting at a computer, but I just found it amusing that he was still sitting down. But I was happy that they found a way to fold him in, and maybe after that was like, yeah, you're in for now. We're keeping you. It was weird because it's almost like they just brought him in as like we got your 4 lines and you're going to get your SAG guarantee and your royalties, and we're doing you a favor. But then kind of his role was expanded again after that moving forward. So I'd be curious to kind of know more behind the scenes. But yeah, 3 and 4, much better than 1 and 2. 1, like, still holds up reasonably well. Dated, but good. 2, pretty horrendous piece of shit. 3, really good character acting. 4, we're getting into the new era where it's like all about the stunt and the setups, which like I'm a total softie for. So that was good too. Do you remember either of these?
Dude, I haven't watched them since they came out, so that's why I'm just kind of popping in here and there with little things I remember, because I do not remember enough to really even talk about any of them.
I would very much say for anybody listening who had kind of a soft, blurred together memory of these movies, you can start at 3 and just be golden. Like there's not a whole lot of meat on the bone or reason to watch the first 2 these days. They are products of their time. The first one's still finding its feet as a series a little bit. It's like, it knows who it is now in 3 and 4 and where we're going. And I still haven't watched the final one. And I imagine we'll build up to that. It's funny watching them in relative succession because, man, there's so many story details that I think you forget about when there's 3 years in between the movies. That
I'm sure.
To remember. Yeah. And it's like, by the time we're in the 4th movie, it's like, oh, his wife, who we thought was dead, isn't really dead. And I'm like, hey, I actually remembered that she was a person in these movies now, and he had a wife, and yeah. So I thought, it's funny. And I love going back and rediscovering things again in the vein of this show, especially watching with my son. But there's a lot of good stuff here, and people should rewatch the series, but maybe start on 3.
I was just trying to see when, the first Mission Impossible did come out in 1996.
Well, it's just, we're on theme. That's what it is.
Yeah, I'm just saying, it's
that's
probably
why we came back to talk about them today in July and not last week, Wyatt. This was all planned in our weekly structural meetings for how this show's going to go, right?
Well, you can't say that because now it's making it sound like you rigged the Patreon poll to make it be this.
Do I look like the kind of person that would be paranoid?
Go
ahead. What did you watch? This, I think you said you were watching. Oh God, what was it? A Russell Crowe
movie?
movie?
Friday Night Adult movie too. If you want to get into that, I picked a weird one. All right. So this just ended up on VOD. I don't know if it's on any particular streaming service yet, but I watched The Get Out, 2026 movie starring Russell Crowe as an Albanian gangster adjacent nightclub owner.
Okay.
Yeah, so this one, Russell Crowe, Luke Evans is in this. Aaron Paul, who everyone knows from Breaking Bad, demonstrates once again why I don't think he's that great of an actor. That's my opinion, folks. Don't kill me. Nina Dobrev, who I wasn't very familiar with. Who is from Degrassi, The Next Generation, and The Vampire Diaries, which is probably why I'm not familiar with her.
Yeah, that would check out.
But I'll give you the setup in this movie, and well, let's open. Movies like Guy Ritchie makes, like Lock, Stock, and Snatch, and even The Gentleman to a lesser extent, with a lot of moving pieces, a lot of characters that are very kind of unique in the cast, and a very tightly wrapped up conclusion that's usually pretty satisfying and ties up all the ends.
Yeah.
That's definitely what this wants to be, and this movie is like a demonstration of how hard it is to do that and get it right, and like why those movies are loved. What a fucking mess, dude. They do tie up the ends, I'll give it to that. So Aaron Paul in this, I mentioned Russell Crowe is an Albanian club owner who washes money for the Mexican drug cartels. And we're kind of, it's never given over to the audience that he's doing this under duress. It's just like, yeah, he does this, but he's still a good guy. And Aaron Paul, this is the setup, and I can't believe that this fucking actually made it through to the green light. And this script was obviously written as a response to the chick from Full House and her husband going to jail for the college admissions scandal, what have you, that was in the news. So the setup in this movie is that Aaron Paul is a community college professor who, on the side to make his bills, will occasionally write essays for kids online and other people and get paid for it, as one might do. Harmless, victimless crime, as he says. But then a cop comes to him and wants him to help his son get into college. And it turns out that the essay that Aaron Paul wrote still wasn't good enough to get him a scholarship to the college. And now Aaron Paul's being blackmailed with jail time by the cop because admissions fraud is a crime, despite the fact that it's the cop and his son committing admissions fraud. And wait, this isn't the best part at all. Aaron Paul, under the duress of having written these illicit essays, the cop makes him go out and rob Russell Crowe's character while he's making bank drops from the club at 6 a.m. or whatever. So in order to avoid jail time for writing bad essays, Aaron Paul's like, I'll go commit armed robbery and hold a gun to the back of this guy's head. And then it's like, okay, I did it. Are we clear? And the cop's like, I'll tell you when you're done. Go hit him again. Yep. And it's like, this is the dumbest fucking setup I've ever heard in my entire life. And, of course, things go horribly awry. When he hits him again, we're introduced to Nina Dobrev's character, who is, wait for it, Wyatt, and a throwback to the 90s, is completely and wholly obsessed with the movie Point Break.
Of course.
Of course. And it's so laid on thick. And it's just, she's like got these dreams of being a Bonnie and Clyde because she worked at a bank and was waiting for someone to rob it, like Point Break, and then becomes obsessed with wanting to be one of the ex-president. Like, dude, I'm saying all this and realizing how much this movie was. It was a lot. It had moments that were actually quite enjoyable. But like I said, it's really hard to make one of those movies and even harder to do it well. And I mean, I liked Breaking Bad. I did not like Breaking Bad as much as the world seemed to. And I think a lot of its brilliance was more in Bryan Cranston's performance and
all the
Giancarlo
characters.
Esposito, the guy who played Gus. A lot of great performances. I found Aaron Paul to be quite annoying. And I was like, oh, that's, probably his character, yeah, bitch, all this stuff. But
Science, bitch.
yeah, his mannerisms are the same, and he just conducts himself in the same way. And like, you're meant to sympathize with his character in some way in this, but he's irredeemable, and it's just, oh god, it's bad. And he doesn't sell it, and he's not sympathetic. And yeah, I just don't think he's a particularly great actor. Sad to say. He was great in the Breaking Bad movie that they did later on. Actually, credit where's credit due. He was much better in that than he was in the show. And I'll take flack all day long. I don't care. I'd be interested to hear what other people take away from this one, because it's trying to go stylistically out the wazoo, and it's just kind of a mess. And everybody forgets there's these things called characters that you have to have in your movie. And Russell Crowe's the only real one in this, and he's pretty convincing as a fat Albanian club owner guy who, leans up against organized crime. One part that was especially hilarious is the cop's played by some guy I didn't recognize, but he's a 50-something, bald, schlubby, kind of, he's a dad in the movie. He's this evil guy out on the street, and, ready-made family at home. But there comes a point towards the end of the movie where him and Russell Crowe actually get in a physical altercation. And you get to the point where they're like holding the gun, against each other. Who's going to force it on who and who's pointing it at who. And you see in the movie that they're trying to sell it that this is this struggle. Russell Crowe's hands have to be 3 times the size of this guy's. Like,
Russell Crowe's
he's like
a giant.
He's a big guy. He was Gladiator 25 years ago, but this is also a Aussie rules football obsessed, hard drinking, beer barrel chested Aussie 60-year-old guy. Like, he's a big dude, and it's just like the movie trying to sell you that this cop guy was going to overpower him somehow. It just looks so ridiculous because he's got these absolute gorilla mitts on him. I want other people to watch this now just so I can hear how they felt about it. It's not good. But I kind of had some fun in parts now that I'm talking about it too. I don't know. It was a weird one. It's holding steady at a 55% on Rotten Tomatoes so far at 22 reviews. I believe this is a straight to VOD release, and it does feel like it.
It was an interesting movie. It wasn't a good movie.
Yes, and I'm so tired already of having to talk about this. Stop beating me over the head with shit from my childhood. I'm tired of it. I'm not going to make your movie good just because you made one of the characters obsessed with Point Break. Oh my god. And there's actually I won't ruin anything, but there's kind of a pentultimate scene where the big buildup happens and something really terrible happens, and she actually turns around in a serious line and says, "Vaya con Dios." I was like, okay, all right, yeah, that's what we're doing here.
I might have to pop that on some night.
It's kind of maybe worth it.
See
I
how
don't know.
dumb it is.
Yeah.
I think I asked you this before, and I think you have watched it. But it's the movie I think about when I think of Russell Crowe now. Because I randomly saw it. You watched The Nice Guys, right? The Shane
Loved
Black
it.
movie?
I hadn't seen it. We talked about it on the show.
Okay, I thought we had, but I couldn't
remember
remember. That's the Russell Crowe movie I always think about because him and Ryan Gosling together is so friggin' good. I haven't watched that movie in probably 5 or 6 years, but I'm gonna have to watch it again.
Yeah, well, imagine him in that as like the enforcer guy.
Right.
Well, yeah, he's thicker and has less of a neck now. So that's where he's at, and it's like, yeah, he could easily overpower this guy in his sleep. But I need you to maybe watch it on your if it comes across your server and you happen to have 120 minutes free. And oh my god, this movie is at least a half an hour too long. This could be
a 2-hour movie.
This could be a tight hour and 20 and we'd be done. It's at least 20 to 30 minutes too long. And again, it's this need to try and be clever and have winking references to movies that came before, and it's just not necessary. Make the good movie first, then try and be clever.
Nah, you gotta work backwards, man.
So I don't know where that brings us, but I'd love to take a brief respite and then jump into a 1996 version of Backlog Buster Brothers, if you're down, brother.
Sure, why don't you go pee?
I wasn't saying I was gonna do that, Wyatt, but since you're insisting, I'll get up.
I have genital herpes.
I have genital herpes.
I have genital herpes.
I have genital herpes. But that doesn't mean that genital herpes has me.
That's because my doctor told me about something called Vesocream.
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 I apply it once a day.
Once a day at the first sign of an outbreak.
And it's clinically proven to clear up my infection in just 2 or 3 days.
2 to 3 days.
That's less than half the time of the other leading brands.
My herpes flare-ups gone in 2 to 3 days.
And that's important to me because
I may have herpes. But he doesn't know.
She doesn't know.
He doesn't know.
she doesn't know.
He doesn't know.
And welcome back, everybody. Hopefully, I've inserted a commercial that was as good as Dusty Rhodes' title alone last week. Wyatt, before we get into Backlog Buster Brothers, there was something that you watched, which I intend to, but have not gotten to yet, and it was a big release this week. What was that?
I finished off The Bear. The final season came out last week or maybe a couple weeks ago, but I was able to watch the entirety. Finished it 2 nights ago, actually. It was good. It was a very good final season. I know a lot of people, I think, fell off either season 3 or maybe it was season 4 even. I think it was season 3 that people decided.
Season 3 seemed to really, yeah,
divide people.
Well, it was horribly imperfect, and I'll definitely say that it was always my theory that, you know, Hulu or FX or whoever it was weren't expecting it to be this massive breakout hit.
Oh, absolutely
and then
not.
They called downstairs and said, more. We need more. You guys, we want more. And so they took a story arc that was supposed to be just season 3 and stretched it into season 3 and 4.
Yeah.
So all of season 3 was build up, stress, and no resolution whatsoever. And you're left at the end of season 3 being like, Carmy sucks. Fuck him. And his stupid, fine dining dreams that are obviously pissing in the face of this entire place. And I'll be interested to see how they close it out. Maybe I'd love to hear your thoughts before I watch.
Yeah, I think they did a great job tying things up in this final season. You see a lot of resolution. You see some redemption arcs. The only criticism I have, and I think it's just, I don't know, it's a light criticism, is it ends up being kind of too cheery by the end. Like, you go through the first 4 seasons of like, it's just banging your head against the wall. Like, this is imperfect. These are imperfect people. Bad things there's lots of yelling and all this, which it doesn't need to be all of that, but the restaurant business is a terrible business. Yeah. And like, it's going to fail. Like, you're going to fail. I shouldn't say you're going to, but the likelihood of failing is incredibly high.
Much more likely than not for new restaurants.
Yes. So it ended. There were still some friction towards the end of the series, but the way it ended, I'm like, man, everything kind of got wrapped up with a bow, which
little saccharine.
Yeah, and I don't know if, and I think I have that complaint about a lot of things usually. Like, you don't always need a happy ending because life doesn't always have a happy ending.
Yeah, it's like the studio notes to the movie that get rid of the ending that the director wanted to give an audience a nice bow on top of things.
But I mean, that being said, I'm not going to give anything away as to like what happened at the end or even really what happens in the final season. But it starts with more chaos, and it's more chaos building, and it builds to something. And the entire season starts with a metaphor that you have to be pretty dense to not immediately be like, oh yeah, I see what they're doing here. But
if I've learned anything in the past decade, Wyatt, is don't give people credit for things that you think are simple and obvious.
Yeah, that's fair. If we get back to it, maybe a couple months down the road, if we talk about it again, I'll explain it to anyone that might not understand it. But no, the interpersonal conflict is what the show goes off of. They're all family, which is why they all yell at each other so much, because they're all together and everything.
No, what I wanted to know was, due to the unfortunate circumstances of real life, does Rob Reiner get to show up at all?
We do not see Rob Reiner. We do not
Bummer.
hear Rob Reiner, but he does play a very big part in the final season.
Good. Well, they found a
and-
way to write him in,
yeah,
if nothing else.
And that's not to say like they didn't like AI generate his voice or anything. You don't hear Rob Reiner at all, but his character plays a very big role in the
Good.
final season, which is
Yeah.
nice. I would have loved to have seen what they would have done, because obviously that wasn't the plan, I imagine. He was probably supposed to show up and, do whatever. So I would be curious to see how that would have been different.
Yeah. Me too. I'm that's a bummer, because we talk about
Yeah.
like, I didn't like season 3 either, and I thought they leaned on the facts, the comedy with Maddie
Yeah.
Matheson and the other cousin way too hard
Teddy
in that whole season to try and fill in some gaps, and they brought John Cena in as supposedly another believable, like, these guys built like a fucking brick shit house and is like related to these guys and just works a menial labor job, whatever. But it righted a lot of wrongs, and season 3 wasn't great, and season 4 came in, they brought in Rob Reiner, and he was exactly right for the tone of the show. No bullshit kind of
Albert
guy. Yeah. And when he's got that great scene where he's Oliver Platt is telling the computer to suck his balls. Computer's a guy. Suck my balls. He made you a great offer. Go suck his balls. Like, that was just, that's gold. That's pure Rob Reiner goodness. And, well, we all know what happened there, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But it's nice to hear that they at least honored him in some way.
They did, and they did a very good job. Ibram obviously is the one that was, being mentored by Albert, Rob Reiner's character, and it's nice to see, Ibram has a pretty big role in the final season, which you don't see him too often. I'm curious to see if maybe the actor was doing something else or something, because at one point they basically write him into a scene where you're not going to see him for a while, and then he just disappears for like 3 episodes, and then he just pops back up.
Yeah, scheduling conflict right there.
Because I believe, wasn't it? This final season was kind of hard to put together because everybody had a bunch of different projects, I believe, going on.
Exactly what they said is like, just look at movies from the last few years, and Carmi's in everything.
Yeah, and the guy who plays Richie he's been
Ibram,
one of the breakout stars.
Moss,
I can't remember.
Derek, whatever. Yes, he's definitely a break. He was in Fantastic Four. He was the Thing.
And him and oh gosh, who plays Mikey? John Bernthal. They were, I believe it was either Broadway or off Broadway. They did Dog Day Afternoon together.
He sucks. Bernthal. He's a great
person
actor.
or the
he
actor?
really is. He's a great actor. He really is. But he's started.
I know nothing about
his
him
own
as a
farts.
person.
And he believes his own. He's gotten to the point where he believes his own bullshit and has yet to realize that he's just not very smart, unfortunately. So he hosted like this horrible podcast where he had all these deep thoughts with men, dude, and it was all horseshit. It's like glazing Shia LaBeouf beating the shit out of women and stuff, And he's taken the Punisher and turned it into whatever that is, and whatever. Did you watch the prequel before this new season? Because I actually saw that.
Yeah, Gary.
Yeah, so him and Richie
and Mikey
make a voyage down from Chicago, where I am, down to Gary, Indiana, about 90 minutes south, and basically end up in a bar doing coke the whole time.
Yeah, I highly recommend before anyone watches season 5 to go ahead and watch that. There's only a couple callbacks to it in season 5, but it definitely fills in some gaps. You see
I
Richie...
was kind of wondering, like, was there a reason for this that's going to serve us later? Because you finish that and you're just kind of like, what? Why was that necessary?
It honestly wasn't. If Gary didn't come out and you watched season 5 and it still played out exactly the same, you'd been like, okay. But just having this come out, you're like, oh, okay, well, yeah, Richie's just remembering.
Little more. Yeah, it's a little more, I guess. But it's like, hey, I didn't need it explained to me that, John Bernthal's character was the guy that would sit inside of a bathroom stall stroking a woman's face while they do coke kind of thing. Like, having that intense moment. Like, we get it. He's a fucking addict. Like,
yeah. And it was very clear, that Mikey had his issues. And
Richie's a fuck up. Born and bred. Like, that's the way he was. And Yeah, I was just kind of. I'm glad that they're doing something with it. Then let me say that.
Yeah, I think Gary really just drives home the Richie transformation, and seeing his transformation from, I guess technically Gary because it takes place before season
Well,
one.
that's I think what I was wondering is like, is this a reminder that he used to be a piece of shit, and now he's like this, got his life together, father, you know,
I think it
career-minded
is.
guy. Yeah,
I think it's really just to like push that home.
he grew up
Yeah,
basically.
Richie grew up. He's still Richie though, because you see, you see the old Richie come out a little bit, and you're always like, "Hey, there he is. He's still
That's
in
my
there."
guy.
Yeah, like he's not, and which is I appreciate that realistic, portrayal. That yes, he grew up and he's able to, take on these more responsibilities. But this guy that lived 40 plus years, being this guy, he's still there. He just knows how to handle himself a little bit better. But the Chicago is still inside him, and when it needs to
Yeah,
come
but he's
out,
just taking care of his shit a little more, where
right?
he's just kind of a flapping in the wind, no direction, aimless father kind of thing, divorcee now, and yeah, he got his shit together.
I will say there's one big thing that happens that I just laughed because, and I think it was mentioned, it might have been even from season one. There's a callback, I think, with some quote unquote limited edition apparel
Oh
that they
yeah, with
have to use.
the original birth.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that comes back in season 5 because
Love
shit
that.
goes sideways and they need to break out the original birth shirts. So everybody in the restaurant is wearing the original birth. And just seeing those come back, I was like, that was funny. I remember that.
I like subtle
Uh,
callbacks like that.
Yeah. But yeah, I think you'll obviously enjoy season 5. I think they're mostly 22, 23-minute episodes. The last
I've been
episode's
putting
an
it off.
hour. What's that?
I've been putting it off. My wife's like, "All right, new bear, let's watch it." I'm like, I don't know if I'm up for it yet. I don't know why. Maybe I think that prequel episode just kind of left me with a taste. A bad
Don't let it.
taste. Yeah.
Because like I said, it's until maybe like episode 4 or 5 that it's about a 10-second callback to Gary. But it's like, oh, there's that scene, and now that's why Richie's thinking about that. And it just kind of gives you a little more of an insight into Richie's psyche, seeing him call back to, what him and Mikey were doing back then. And
Well, it's his redemption arc, whereas
right.
Mikey never got that. So yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. But I would say watch it sooner than later. It was good fun. I'm glad to see that it was the success that it was. I'm not as excited that it made an entire generation now shout yes chef to just about anybody, or heard.
Yeah. Is there did it gave too close a look behind the scenes, you think? Or
Yeah.
It offered stolen valor to those
It
who have
did,
never actually worked
exactly.
in the industry?
Exactly. There's a couple characters that show up for a couple of the few final episodes that are pretty great, and I feel like it's kind of poking fun, I think, at the people that do that. And you'll very quickly figure out who these characters are when you see them. But I feel like it's a direct kind of poke at the people that just think that, oh, I've seen the bear now, so I can start saying,
Off to be a chef.
yeah, exactly. So you'll enjoy it. Hopefully you don't put it off too long. I know that I tend to put things off that I don't want.
Yeah, I don't know
have
if I don't
about-
want it to end, maybe too. I don't know.
Yeah, so I'm just finishing up book 8 of the Dungeon Crawler Carl series, which is the newest book, and I think I have about 25 pages left, and I've just been putting it off because I don't want to finish it.
It'll
because
be
there's-
over forever
Right.
when that happens.
Well, it won't be over forever because I believe there's still supposed to be 2 more books. But
oh, we're doing
this will be
10? I
the-
thought it was 8. Okay.
No,
never
no.
mind.
He plans on, the original plan was always to do 10 books in the series. But I'm already at, 8, and this is obviously I've now caught up. I basically binged the first 7 books, so I always had something else to go to immediately after. This will be the first time that, I finished book 7, but book 8 was coming out maybe a month later. So I'm like, oh, cool. But now it's going to be at least a year until the next book. So I gotta, expand my reading horizons here for the next year.
I'll say that I'm choosing to savor the stories a little more than you, Wyatt. You just binged through. You didn't have the respect for literature that I have
Oh, definitely not.
by reading them extremely slowly.
Well,
no,
you know,
I gotta start the fourth one soon.
there's only so much pooping time you have to read.
I've wrapped up 3, so I gotta start 4 soon for sure.
Does it still have its hooks in you, or are you kind
For
of...
sure. I will say, having read the first 3, I think that the third one was the weakest link that I've read
Which
so far.
one's the third one?
Trains.
Yes, yep. That I think that is the book that almost everyone I talk to is like, I don't know. My buddy Dylan, he's like, man, I don't know. It was just too confusing. I know
It
that they said,
was.
ignore this. Matt Denman at the beginning of the book's like, ignore all this because it really doesn't matter. Like, just try to let yourself be dragged into the story. But my buddy was like, I don't know, man.
You can feel how difficult he had a time with it when you're reading it. Like, I was trying to take that advice to heart when I was reading it, and you get dragged down and bogged down in certain spots, and you're like, okay, well, he's trying to paint this scene, and I don't know how he could describe what he's trying to show without including all of this kind of superfluous detail that seems really confusing. But I mean, they made it kind of as clean in the end as they could, so it was fine. But it was obviously a playground that he wanted to explore, perhaps, and the story might not be wholly better off for it, but it was interesting.
I will say my least favorite, now that I'm finishing up 8, which I can, I think I have a good idea of how that's going to rank. But the 7th book, the first half of the 7th book, that one was almost work for me to get through. I don't know what it was. It was just way too much exposition and no action whatsoever. So it was kind of like, man, because obviously, you're three books into it. It's basically, you get chapters are super short in these books. They're anywhere from 2 pages to maybe 10 pages.
Oh yeah, it's made for your modern attention span.
Yes, sure. But and it's also like there's always stuff happening. Like they're moving on to the next thing, something's happening, and then this, book 7 is just the first half is just building up to this. You can see it's building up to something massive, but it's just you spend 400 pages just building up to what's
that's a lot of setup.
Yeah. So but 7 and 3 were probably my 2 least favorite. Not saying I didn't like either of them, but the rest of them, I think once you get into book 4, you'll start reading it a bit quicker again because it really
grabs you.
Takes off from there. Yeah. I just saw this popped up right before we started recording, and I figured it'd be interesting. I know we wanted to hop into Backlog Buster Brothers, but we can get into that in a minute. So, and actually I want to talk to you about some pinball stuff because I think you played pinball recently. But
I did. I'm gonna go play tomorrow too.
The NEPL, which is New England Pinball League, just announced. And do you know anything about this? Because this has been a thing for, I think, the last 10 years or so. But have you heard of the Final Stand tournament?
Mm-mm.
Okay, it's a 24-hour pinball tournament.
Oh, God.
Yep. And apparently it's being played at FunSpot this year. So there is 100 entrants at $155 a piece, and you play for 24 hours straight of match play. And you can tap out if you can't make it. So it's being good at pinball, and it's also endurance, obviously. And I bet you can imagine, or I bet you could guess who is let's see, how many years has this been done? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's been done 10 years. I bet you could probably guess who the 5-time champion is.
Josh Sharp. I don't know.
Bowen.
Who is it?
Bowen Kearns.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Yeah. 5-time champ. But anyway, it just popped up right before we started recording it. A very little part of me, because registration doesn't start for a week, I think. And part of me is like, oh, that'd be kind of cool. And then another part of me goes, after I play pinball for about 3 hours, I think I'm about done. And having to do 24 hours at FunSpot playing pinball against, and this is going to be because this is a national tournament. There's going to be the top players and probably some of the top players.
You're getting into $100+ entry fee. You're talking serious amounts of money, but for the prize pool kind of thing. So
I think even the prize pool is. I think just about everyone gets some money, but even first place is not as much as I thought it would be. Let's see. First place is $1,500.
Yeah, still.
Which
that's
isn't
10 times
bad.
your entry. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's 1,500, 1,000, 725, and 425. But yeah, no, I just thought that was interesting. It's the week before I come out to visit you, I believe.
Come out for Expo instead. We'll play. You can play in that tournament. That
Oh no, I wasn't thinking about playing.
That goes till 3 in the morning.
I was thinking about volunteering for a few hours, just to.
That's kind of like my way of doing stuff. Like I won't play in. They do Papa here.
Yeah.
They brought that back, and I'll usually volunteer for like 4 or 8 hours over the course of the weekend, just to give back to the community that I love, and kind of still be a part of the event where. Like I have no business playing in that Classics tournament compared to some of those guys, and I'm happy to just contribute in some way versus, paying money and knowing that I'm never going to place and not really feeling that competitive on that sort of thing. But you want to be in the mix in your hobbies in some capacity. Right. So yeah, go volunteer.
It sucks to be in a hobby and not be good at it. Or at least
it does, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Welcome to my life, buddy. So many hobbies I have that.
Oh no, you're good at all of them. You're good at making cookies. You're good at.
I don't do that anymore, though.
You're good at playing video games.
I don't do that anymore.
Oh.
I don't do anything.
You're good at running.
I don't do that anymore because my legs are broken.
You're good at having sexy calf legs.
Yeah, we'll see, man. I'm not using them that much. They're starting to
they're fading because
away.
of the lack of running.
Yeah, exactly. My life. This is all I got, man.
Apart. Yep.
This is all I got. Is this podcast, man? Anyway, did you want to talk about being able to play Transformers Pinball, or you want us to move on to?
Well, I tell you what, I did play at a couple games. The tournament on Thursday, I played a pro. And I'm hoping at the end of this weekend I will end up having access to the premium. I think it plays well. I think the pro is a little less put together than I would have liked to have seen, and feels a little rushed to me because of it. I'll be very interested to hear your thoughts. It looks simpler than it actually ends up playing. Dare I say some of the shots are a little... deceptive.
Hey,
but it's a good overall. There's just some things that I wish were a little different, and I know you have a lot of thoughts about the transforming nature or lack thereof on the table.
I sure do.
But I imagine you'll have access to one in the very near future, so I will wait to hear your full impression before.
Yeah, we've got one.
I've only played 3 games total on it, and one of those was in tournament, so I'd like to actually have some time with it before I can really say one way or another.
Yeah, we have a premium, I think, coming to the club here sometime this month, so I'll get to have a little bit of time on it. We do a thing at the pinball club. It's called the Repin program, which is actually a pretty cool thing. So what they do is, to make sure we always have the newest Stern, the pinball club goes ahead and buys the newest Stern, and then that's the only machine in the entire club that we have coin drop on. So we do that for 3 months, and usually there's some type of tournament associated with it, to see who the best is.
And then it pays for the next one.
Yep, and then that money goes ahead and it rolls into the new one, and then the old one gets put up for sale to the members. I think the pros are offered at like $5,500, and the premiums are offered at a little bit more than that, but it's still a pretty damn good deal for a 3-month-old.
That's a damn
machine.
Good deal for a 3-month-old Stern machine, yeah.
Yep, and the only rule is that if you buy it, you need to leave it at the club for a couple more months. So
X number, of course.
Just so the people that didn't want to pay for coin drop gets at least a chance to play it, and then after that, you're allowed to take it home if you want.
Yeah, because you have to give the paying members access to it for some period of time. Yeah, so keep it fair for everybody. That's a perfect system, honestly.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with the way that that's got set up. But yeah, so I think they said the deadline's going to be tight. Originally, there was going to be a Transformers, I think, launch party tournament this month, but shipping, I think, is going to be way too tight compared to when the tournament is. So it should be here by the end of this month, maybe the beginning of August. And then I will have my impressions on it, which I've heard some people really love the game. I've heard some other people aren't very impressed with it. Just seeing videos and seeing, the spec sheets and stuff, I already feel like I'm not going to be impressed because, as it was adequately noted, I'm very disappointed that a Transformers pinball machine has nothing that transforms on it. But maybe
For valid
maybe
reasons, but I'll let you state whether that's the case after playing it.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm going to reserve, final judgment until I actually get, my hands on it. But I don't know. I feel like it might have been a theme that Stern just needed to put something out for from my initial
Well, I
impressions
was
of seeing
hearing
it.
through the grapevine, through the folks who were working there, running tournaments that I go to and stuff, said this was a pure passion project for its lead designer.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So, I mean, maybe it shows through better via software. You're harping on some stuff that I think is very valid, but maybe there was constraints that he had to deal with from above, and so on and so forth. So I get out there and shoot it, and yeah, we'll see what you have to say.
And I'll just go back and see if I can find myself a Shack Attack. Because really, that's the only pinball machine you need.
Right.
You play with your balls a lot.
Hell yeah.
And then, unless you had anything, sir, I believe we have
Drop
some
it.
90s assigning to do up in here, because then it is the thing that I can't find because I'm back on Windows. Here it is. Doo-be-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo.
Hey, Nick.
Yo.
So let's just quickly get this out of the way. We did not play Burnout Paradise. We tried to. And,
Well, I played more of it.
I mean,
It's
I've played plenty of it, but we didn't play it together like we had hoped.
Well, we
would get a chance
tried,
to do this.
and I
We did.
quickly threw cold water on it because I lack patience. But yeah, in modern gaming, man. All right, so it's like downloading, and of course, when I need it to only download a quick 7 gig game, it decides to my internet take a shit, or Xbox's servers or whatever. So that's taking a minute, and then it loads in. There's an unskippable cutscene, and I try to connect via chat with Wyatt to play the game, and he can't hear me at all, and apparently my mic's dead, even though it's not muted physically or in software. All right, let's switch over to Discord and try chat there. Same problem for some reason. All right, well, accept my invite, Nick, to this session on Burnout. Okay, game invites accepted. Oh, cannot join game, says Burnout. And at that point, I went, fuck this shit, Wyatt.
And that is our review of online co-op in Burnout Paradise.
I can appreciate, and I think, please take this in the manner in which it's intended. This ties back into that zombie game that we played together, where you want me to experience in a similar way these great memories from these games that you had, kind of thing, from years past, and a multiplayer experiences. What was it? Not Left 4 Dead.
Dying
Dead Till
Light.
Dawn.
Dying
Dying
Light.
Light that we played, yeah. And I think it kind of shone a light onto, while it was a very good game, it was like, I don't know that we have the time to be able to dedicate to something like this anymore online, because after X number of weeks and 2-hour sessions kind of thing, it was like, yeah, we still need to do this, this, and this, and this, and then it'll really kind of open up more, and it's just a question. Gaming is like, get it in where I can most of the time now.
Mm-hmm.
So when you encounter these frustrations, which aren't anyone or central thing's fault, it just makes me throw up my freaking arms, which I did, and I apologize that we did try to do this, and I wasn't willing to keep trying, but I like the game, and I played more of it in the past week just by myself on PC. Which I think I mentioned again, it was not working on the impromptu Steam machine thing that I built directly, which was kind of funny. Because it's
Yeah, you did tell me that. Yeah.
not a Valve certified game.
Yep.
One of the few. But yeah, it's a great game, and I would love to experience those joys and those highs that you've had, and want me to enjoy as well. But at that moment of frustration, it just wasn't worth it, unfortunately. Like I said, it's just, I was trying to say, like, you know, we're grown-ups with grown-up shit and real lives, and gaming time can sometimes be hard to come by. And I think short of a scheduled calendar invite to be online at X time, it's just tough, man, to do. I mean, look at us playing Marathon. We've slipped off of that in the past month.
We just don't have it yet, man. We'll
Yeah.
figure it out.
There he is. That's my guy.
Let's get into something happy. So like I said, I'll quickly reiterate. So every month we're going to be doing a Patreon poll for our free and paid members. We're going to have probably 3 to 5 different options of what our monthly Backlog Buster Bros theme is going to be. And this month we had, I believe, 5 options. 3 of them did not get any votes. We got 1 vote for Summer Vacation, and the number 1 runaway winner was a look back 30 years at the year 1996. So this month we're going to be doing movies, TV shows, media, and video games from the year 1996. And I don't know about you. I don't know about you, but I did a pretty quick look at some games and movies and TV shows that came out in 96, and this is a pretty damn good year for us to do this.
Stacked is the word, I think I would say. Absolutely stacked. Well, I'll let you go right ahead.
So, I think I owe you a video game this year, and I thought about saving this one for the end of the month because I think this is the creme de la creme, and it might feel like it's going to be going downhill from here. Although, knowing you and your likes, this may not be the top of the mountain. So I'm very curious.
I don't know where this is going.
I know, and I'm a little excited because this is a game that holds probably the number 1 place in a lot of people's hearts when it comes to video games. A lot of people's maybe first experience, a little bit younger than us, in playing video games, but this game came out in June of 1996. It launched the first 3D console for Nintendo. It is called Pilot Wings 64. No, I'm going to have you play Super Mario 64.
Oh, shit. Okay. Well,
it was
you
on
know
your
more
backlog.
than the audience. Yeah, you know more than the audience on this one. Yeah, cards on the table, folks. I've never played more than the first 2 levels of Mario 64 over the last 35 years or 30 years, whatever. 30, obviously, because it's 96. I'm a moron. Yeah, I've played that opening intro type sequence 500 different times, testing out emulator performance and trying to get it working, emulation to work on a PC back in the 90s. But
Which
for what
64 games is wild because that didn't really take off until another 20 years later to actually be able to...
N64 is a really difficult system to emulate. And yeah, it was sketchy for a long time, but getting Mario 64 to run on a PC was just one of those kind of nagging projects that I had to get done, and then it was like, okay, on to the next. So I've never actually spent the time with this. If it's approved by you, I would probably want to play the modern recomp that's on PC where you have right stick camera control a little more proper, if that's acceptable.
I don't really care as long as that's just a recomp and it's the same game, just PC coded.
Oh yeah, that's all it is.
Yeah.
It absolutely is. Yeah.
Then 100% that's perfectly fine.
It's just got that one. It runs it, higher resolution natively, and it's got that quality of life improvement. The camera, I think, is just a little quote fixed.
Yeah, the only thing I was going to originally suggest, which if you're going to be playing it through PC and it's set up that way, that's fine. But I was going to say, try to play with an N64 controller. But if you're going to be playing the PC recomp that has right stick camera controls, then that's kind of a moot point.
I don't have an N64.
I was going to say you probably don't.
I sold them all, brother.
They're all gone. Smart.
As you well know, it was never my system.
That's why I want to get you to play it, because I know you aren't a big 64 guy.
Well, it's not that I wasn't, and I was definitely more PlayStation, but that's more the console that hit you at exactly the right time, given our slight age gap of 4 or 5 years, whatever it is. So I understand how it was much more impactful on you, and it's a horrible, glaring omission in my gaming resume to have never actually played Mario 64. You know what else? That I've started and stopped a million times. Never beat Ocarina of Time either.
Ooh, well, I mean, at this point, we're probably gonna have to wait until the remake comes out on that.
Yeah.
Although my buddy,
Or Majora's Mask. Oh god, I'm
Okay.
terrible.
Okay, man. Now you're just giving me fuel for the fire here. At some point.
I've purchased and owned remakes and remasters of both games.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's start with Super Mario 64.
I'm excited.
and
Yes, this will be good.
I'm curious to see. I might have to download the PC recomp too, just to see how that plays compared to the 64 version. Because
it's just quality of life, but
Yeah.
it's anybody that doesn't know what a recomp is, basically they take the original ROM and extract out the source code and then recompile the entire thing from the ground up for modern PC architecture. So technically, despite the fact that there's, I'm sure character copyright things that are going on and stuff, it's actually it sits in a weird limbo as far as, because it's new code. I don't know how it all works. But yeah, it's just quality of life improvements, higher resolution, all that good stuff.
And you know what? We don't own anything anymore, so
This is very true. I am good. Speaking of stretching the rules, I'm going to assign you something.
okay.
This is going to be a little different, and if you tell me I can't do this, then I will quickly find something else. But I asked you this, and you said that you had seen it. In 1996, a movie came out that has become, I don't know if it's a cult favorite, but certainly has reached cult status, starring Val Kilmer and some very big names. The Island of Dr. Moreau. You have seen this, correct?
God, the 96 version? Yeah.
I don't know when I brought that up, but so this movie is a bit of a train wreck. It included some really, really weird things behind the scenes where a lot of things didn't really go right. It's based on an original book written by H.G. Wells. And what's wrong with why am I tripping over his name?
Marlon Brando?
Now? Marlon Brando, thank you, is the eponymous Dr. Moreau, and he made changes to the script while they were filming, including making this man that was kind of like a mini-me type thing, his sidekick throughout the movie, and like he was just like, "Nah, this is what we're doing. I'm on set today. I'm Marlon Brando." But there's so much more, including probably, I think, some of the worst Val Kilmer rumor behavior that ever went on. So, since you have seen the 96 movie, and I'm sure you recall enough of it, this will be quite the refresher, and it'll allow us to talk at length about the 96 movie. You're going to actually watch a 2014 documentary called Lost Soul, The Doomed Journey of Richard Stanley's Island of Dr. Moreau. And what this is it's a documentary that chronicles the making of the movie, and its amateur horror director who was given this as his first big gig, and he kind of fumbles the bag, but then there's all these factors of Val Kilmer's acting like this, and Marlon Brando's acting like this, and the studio wants this for the movie because they're going to turn it into a summer tentpole. And it's like everything that could go wrong basically does while making a movie about a weird anthropomorphic animal island of crossbreeds and stuff. There's a lot to take in here, and it'll give us a beautiful segue into 90s movie discussion, I think.
I appreciate you broaching this topic of allowing documentaries of things that came out in 96, because that means what I want to show you, or what I want to have you watch at some point this month, is fair game. So,
well, I think it should be, because all this is going to lead. This is just going to lead us into talking more about The Thing and the making of The Thing, and all of this came from 96. Just because the documentary didn't come out till years later doesn't mean the story's not still from then. So I think it totally counts.
And that was my thought process behind assigning you the documentary that I want to assign you this month. So I'm glad we are on the same page. Although the one I assign you, I have a feeling is going to be a lot more fun than. I mean, this one will probably be fun as in a train wreck.
This is fun. Trust me, this is fun.
But and I'm going to be a little disappointed, and maybe I'll ask you before I assign it to you if you've seen it. And if you have seen it, then I'm going to have to pivot to something else related to it. But either way, you're going to have something fun coming up.
I'm in suspense now. Yeah.
So I don't really think we have anything to promote this week. Congratulations to Tyler for winning our handheld giveaway.
Pull down the next one off the shelf because we'll have another giveaway at the end of this month.
Yes, we will have one soon.
Sign
next
up
week
now.
We'll announce that. Yeah. I guess it's the only way to win. The only way to win, have a chance to win one of our handhelds is to sign up for our Patreon.
Which is free.
Which is free. You can go ahead and pay us a couple bucks a month if you enjoy listening to us and want to help us pay for our yearly hosting. But it's not expected or necessary. We have free memberships, and we'd be happy to have you and get some of these handhelds off my shelf.
There you go.
So, Nick.
Yes?
How does a pig get to the hospital?
How does a pig get to the hospital?
The ambulance.
Oh, he went and did it.
All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. This is Wyatt. That's Nick, and we don't have it yet.
Have a good holiday. Happy 4th, everybody. Peace.